Hey guys, today we're talking about intellectual development during the first year. The main idea and key concepts for this PowerPoint is just knowing that during the first year of a baby's life, growth occurs in many areas. These areas include size, intelligence, their motor skills. Remember, there's two different motor skills, fine and gross. Their social skills and personalities. After this PowerPoint, you should be able to list 4 abilities that show intellectual growth in infants and identify specific abilities that babies learn during Piaget's first period of learning. So in just the first year of life, babies develop 4 abilities that show that they're growing intellectual abilities. The first one is being able to remember experiences. So a 2 or 3 month old baby may stop crying whenever somebody enters the room because they feel like they might be picked up because they remember that previously whenever they've cried, somebody has picked them up. They may also be able to make associations, like if a caregiver walks into the room or a parent, they're like, oh, I know that this person picks me up whenever I cry, or this person picks me up whenever they walk into the room. They also start understanding cause and effect. So, for instance, they know if they have a bottle and they start sucking, the milk comes out. If they stop sucking, then the milk stops. And then lastly, paying attention. Generally, infants with above average intelligence have a short attention span, so they get bored easily and they need a lot of stimulation, which makes sense. So, concept development. As infants continue to learn, young children between ages of 1 and 3 begin to organize the information they receive from their senses. They start to form concepts. A concept is a general category of objects and information. Concepts range from categories for objects such as fruit to qualities such as shape or color. Concepts also include abstract ideas such as time. They don't know children learn words and concepts by using the following 3 principles. The first one is children start by thinking that labels are for whole objects, not parts. For instance, like they don't know the difference yet that a dog's nose is his nose and the whole body of a dog is a dog. They don't know the labels of a dog yet. They just know that animal is a dog, or that part of that animal is part of the dog. They don't know that everything has a separate label. They also believe that labels apply to the group to which the individual objects belong, not to the particular objects. They may see a 4-legged animal on a farm and think that that animal is a cow and not a horse. Young children tend to believe that an object can only have one label. That may be why it takes time for young children to learn to use pronouns. They have to learn to recognize that mommy and she can mean the same person. And that takes a little bit for them to mature to be able to recognize the different words for the same person or the same animal or the same concept. Okay, so Piaget, a psychologist, had a great influence on what is known about how children learn. In an effort to understand how children's intellectual skills developed, Piaget observed infants and children. According to him, there are 4 periods that appear in the same order in all children. They are the sensory motor period, the pre-operational period, the concrete operations period, and the formal operations period. Piaget determined or reasoned that children must learn to master one thinking skill before they can move on to another. Children can't be forced to understand a concept or master a skill any faster than their abilities let them, but they can't move on until they have mastered different skills. Okay, so the sensory motor period is what we are focusing on today. Sorry for words in the columns. The sensory motor period is Piaget's first stage of learning, and it lasts from birth to about the age of 2. And there are 6 stages in the sensory motor period that a child will go through from the birth to age of 2. During this period, babies learn mainly through senses and their actions. This is why touch is so stimulating for them. This is also why you need to give them, quality and quantity experiences like we talked about in the PowerPoint previously. This period happens during the time when the neurons in the infant's brain establish pathways that enable learning. Sensory stimulation in the first year of life is vital for fostering a child's intellectual development. Babies come to understand an important concept, and this concept is called object permanence, which is basically just the concept of objects will continue to exist even though they don't see them. So if a ball rolls out of sight, they know that the ball's still there even though they can't see it. Or they know that an adult's going to come back to them even though they don't see them anymore. So, at each stage, a baby has specific intellectual abilities. Note that the child's abilities at each stage, after stage 1, build on the stage before. So at the end of stage 6, children have used their experiences of the physical world to construct a consistent view of the world that they live in. This is whenever they start to have imaginative play, and it becomes possible at stage 6. Imaginative play is just playing pretend. So they play pretend by mimicking their caregivers or their parents. Oh, we see mom cooking or caregiver cooking. We're going to cook. Oh, we see somebody talking on the phone. We want to talk on a phone, so we pick up something that resembles a phone and start, babbling on the phone. This is also the time when symbolic thinking begins and the foundations for reading are established. Symbolic thinking is the use of words and numbers to stand for ideas. This is why it's so important to read to a baby, so they start to know that actual print on a book stands for words, and they can start memorizing those words if read to often enough. So important to read to them. Okay, so very quick PowerPoint. What are 4 abilities that show intellectual growth in infants? They are remembering experiences, making associations, understanding cause and effect, and paying attention. And then specific abilities that babies learn during Piaget's first period of learning. They learn through their senses. They learn object permanence, concepts that objects will continue to exist. They develop hand-to-mouth coordination. They start imaginative playing. They start symbolic thinking. And after they have mastered all of these, and they move on to the next stage. And I will see you guys later.